Hey, welcome back to Day in the Life of an Ancestor of Future Indigenous People. Now, remember that this is an exploration. If you're seeing this for the first time, go back and watch some of the other ones. I invite you to. I'm not telling you to. But an exploration of some of the changes and things that maybe we can contemplate making. As you can see, it's pretty dry here in the great state of Utah. And the funny thing is, though, the minute I stepped off the pavement and my boot hit the dirt, a cool breeze washed over me. Not like being splashed with cold water, but like a very soothing, cool air. And I think I want to build a better relationship with that cool air. So, switch hands. One of the things that I have done in my past is I'm a spirit worker in the Northern tradition, so Norse and Anglo-Saxon. And so there are many things and many conversations I've had, many ideas of how do we understand the context of the stories that were written and left, especially. I understand that writing is one way to communicate story, but I kind of feel like it's like strangling the story. You took all the air out of it. You took all the air movement out of it. You take all the ability for the story to change, the ability for the story to evolve, the ability for the story to gain different context, gain different texture, and become applicable to whatever time period, whatever location that you're in. Which is, I think, why a lot of people who are actual descendants of colonizers and settlers have lost the stories. When I was growing up, I was just told we were Welsh. And I'm like, we're Welsh? Okay. What does that mean? Like, I don't know. My family didn't have stories to pass on, so I don't know. So, in that, I'm watching for rattlesnakes too, so sorry if I'm not looking at you all the time. It's a little dark. It's getting dark, but they're still out. One of the things when I published my book about the runes, about my experiences with the runes, when I finished writing it, I asked the runes, hey, what am I missing? Have I gotten everything I need to get here in this book? And as I conversed with them, several of them popped out, and several of them, the story they told me was that that's my little town, some of it, and the sunset, which is gorgeous. What they told me was that I was missing the common ground so that people could understand or would have a better chance at understanding their wisdom and the things that they had to say. And so I was prompted to write 4 prose inspired by those runes that came out. And finding that common ground is like finding our way partially back to be able to kind of meet the past halfway to begin to understand. And it's not because we're going back and living that way. It's because we're going back and trying to understand so that we can bring forward active, beautiful wisdom that we've lost because our stories are gone. This is where indigenous peoples of this land and other lands comes into play. Some of the reasons I think that people don't understand, even our more recent forefathers who came here to this land, they were so disconnected from that there's no way they could see the value in the ways. So before I left on this gorgeous walk, I asked the runes who wants to go on a walk with me. And this rune came out, Kalk. It's one of the Anglo-Saxon food. Kalk is a rune of like the sacred quest, which makes sense. This is my sacred quest. It's also about, some people would say, desire. I say fulfillment, and I say that they're very different. Because a lot of times the things that we desire are not the things that actually bring fulfillment. And we keep shoving shit into the bottomless hole that is where we are missing our connection to each other, to the land, to the earth, to the spirits of everybody living here. And I'm not talking about people. So in these ideas, in these thoughts, what I'm thinking about was one day not that long ago, I was reading a post that came across my feed. And it was saying to, it was basically telling those of us who are like in my shoes and maybe your shoes if you're watching this and you're a descendant of colonizers and settlers, capitalism, to go back, find, dig up and find the ways that we would do things. I think specifically the one that is coming to my mind right now is, what did you do when people were sick? What happened? Finding our own ways. Now, I think some of the reality of that, for me, who's been doing this for almost 20 years, the reality of that is that just like everyone else, we sometimes can't trust what was written. It was taken out of context. It was written by somebody who doesn't understand the context. And I'm not saying that about everything, but it's very hard to go back and interview people from 1000 AD or CE, pardon me, 1000 CE, and say, what was your context of your life? Why did you write this? Why did you do this? Very difficult to do that. And I think part of the reason is because we've separated life and spirituality. For those of us who are trying to find this, trying to find these ways, trying to find these means, it's tough. Like I told in the first video, when the ice retreated, glaciers retreated in Northern Europe, people came in, they brought their ancestral memories, making new connections with the land and the spirits of everything living there, including the land. And that's how they began their traditions. So that's even more complex than just saying that, right? So how do we take what we know, take the things I can find out, know, and then apply them to my life here? Because the one thing I connect with most deeply are the mountains of the West. And they remind me very much of what we might consider the Jotun, like their cousins in some of the northern traditions, mythologies. So how do we now do that? How do we make this community also, right? Because we can't just come in and just start renaming things and saying this is the spirit and this is what we're going to do, right? That's pretty much a rinse and repeat of what we've just watched fucking happen. So we can't do that. We can't do that. It's not going to work. So finding, if we're lucky and they're willing, people who are descended from indigenous peoples here. We have not just peoples here, but like Tyson Yonkaporta wrote a book called Sand Talk, and speaks mounds and mounds about indigenous knowledge from Australia. So how can we then, this is just some of the reality, right, of how this looks and works. How do we then have conversations? How do we then build, what a cult, oh, I forgot the word. I did a video a couple days ago. Anyway, last week. But how do we then build one community, not of one religion or one belief or one system, or making everyone conform to one thing or another, but we all are in relationship with the land and with community and with the animals and the plants and with each other and with the water. How do we do that? I think these are big questions, and I think it's a big table, a round table, not a CE fucking O table. Sorry, I'm saying the F word a lot. I don't know why I said the F word. I've said fuck a lot. Anyway, how do we do it? How do you do that? Well, we keep talking, I think, for sure. We keep experiencing, we keep sharing, we keep encountering. If you're me, I keep encountering my ancestral wisdom, whether that be Welsh or Celtic or from the Scandinavian countries. Encountering it, engaging with it, not as we would a textbook, but as we would a living being. It being a living being and us being a living being. Experiment, take chances. I rode my motorcycle today. One, because it gets better gas mileage. And I thought, that's a better decision for my location, especially with having such smoky air at the moment. So for air quality, I did it to conserve some money for me because I'm going to have the car fixed before winter. Yeah, there are a ton of things we can do each day. Taking a walk, connecting you with you and connecting you to this land a bit. The mountains up behind me, which are, can't really see. It looks like all one, but they're not. The mountains of my youth, the mountains of my grandfather's youth, my dad's youth. Mountains that they mined. That's a whole other thing. As we see, I think, with the stories and I won't even call them stories because that means they're not true. With the lore of Appalachia, Appalachian Mountains. Well, in a moment, I'm going to be stepping back onto the asphalt, back into the heat of humanity on the earth. So, just wanted to share some of that with you today. And also Kalk. I think my poem in my book says, your greatest desire, your greatest fulfillment, may you be so blessed that the two are the same. And I say, may you be so blessed to know the needs, to know your needs, to be able to address them so that you have fulfillment and do not wander haphazardly casting your net onto dry ground, expecting fish to be in. May your weird be filled with health, abundance. Oh, I haven't said it. Hold on. Oh yeah. May your weird be filled with health, abundance, strength, and virility.